We're here with Klamath County Commissioner candidate Andrew Nichols. Andrew, thank you for coming in. How are you?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thank you.
I want to start by giving you a chance to essentially tell your story. Who are you and what has led you to this point?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question, Matt. So I'm Andrew Nichols. I'm currently a candidate for Klamath County Commissioner, Position 1. I am from Klamath Falls. I grew up here. I graduated from Lost River High School in 1997. After I graduated high school, I joined the United States Marine Corps. I spent a bit over 20 years in the Marine Corps, held multiple duties, traveled around the world, numerous combat tours. I was recognized for merit and valor and achievement on numerous occasions. I had a highly successful Marine Corps career that finished working at Headquarters Marine Corps on the Special Staff of the Commandant and projects at the Pentagon. I retired from the Marine Corps and moved back to my hometown. I went to work for the Klamath County Sheriff's Office. I worked for the Klamath County Sheriff's Office as a deputy and as a patrol deputy and a corrections deputy for 5 years. I held numerous collateral jobs while I was there. I was a forest deputy. I was a field training officer. I was a medical legal death investigator. I was kind of a multi-tool in the sheriff's office, and I was the president of the Klamath County Peace Officers Association, which is the union that represents the employees at the sheriff's office. I hold a bachelor's degree in political science. And why am I running for county commissioner? Well, I've always had an interest in the political realm, but more than that, I've always had a deep sense of duty for service. My entire adult life has been about serving the greater good, about serving our society. And as I get older, things change, and I'm not don't run as fast, jump as high, I guess, as I used to. And I just thought maybe my skill set could be put to better use, continuing to serve the public, using my mind more than my body, as I had done in my previous careers. A set of circumstances over the last year, I didn't really have, going a couple years back, any thoughts or intentions of this. But a set of circumstances over the last year involving the sheriff's office got me to start thinking about our county government, the way things were run, and ultimately that I could provide insight and do the job of a county commissioner and do it well. And after talking with family and a bunch of professional mentors, I made the decision in March of this year to resign from the sheriff's office and throw my name in the hat with 8 other people that we had in the primary and run for county commissioner. And I'm honored and humbled that Klamath County gave me the most votes out of the primary and allowed me to go into a runoff with my competition. And so that's how we got to here today, Matt.
Yeah, let's talk about ethics, because there have been multiple instances of ethics issues, both in Klamath County, including with the sheriff's office, and across the state in general in recent years. Describe your personal ethics and how you think the public should hold you accountable to them.
Absolutely. So I've been worked for the federal government and or the county government my entire adult life. I understand that ethics is the cornerstone of government, because ethics, proper ethics are what give legitimacy to our institutions, so the people trust our institutions. And so ethics and government transparency and accountability are one of my top priorities if elected to Klamath County Commissioner. I've put statements on my website about it. I've put statements on social media about it. We could sit here and talk for a long time and dive into each and every one of these ethical issues that have come up in Klamath County over the years. But I'd really rather focus on what we can do moving forward. And what we can do, what I can do is, as your county commissioner, is I will be transparent. I will ensure that we're open and honest with the public about what is going on behind closed doors. As I've gone around the county and I've talked to citizens throughout the county, a prevailing statement that people say is, well, our government seems like a quote unquote good old boy club. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I think that is the response that people give from frustrations with government, from lack of transparency, where they don't necessarily understand everything the government is doing. And so it's an easy way to put a catchphrase on what you're seeing. And we need to recognize that, and we need to set up our institutions so we can combat that. I would be a huge fan of setting up a government transparency accountability committee within our government that could review these situations, that could provide our departments with advice. I think that a lot of times it gets dropped on that elected official who's trying to do a number of things and trying to navigate all of the different rules from that. And they get some help from the county HR and from the state, but I think it would be valuable to have a committee within our own local county government that looks at these things, that reviews departments' practices to ensure that we are adhering to the laws and basic ethical and moral standards within government.
This is a question from one of our Facebook followers. Given the position that you're running for is nonpartisan, how do you balance your lifelong ideological views in order to fairly represent all voices and views in Klamath County? And what steps have you taken to demonstrate yourself as a fair and balanced candidate for commissioner?
That's a great question, Matt. And yes, I will not hide from that. I will not run from that. I am a lifelong Republican and I am a conservative. However, this position does represent all of Klamath County, and that is very, very important. What have I done personally to show that I can reach across the aisle per se, or be in a nonpartisan position? I was invited to, and I went before the Democratic Central Committee here. I spoke at length with them. I think it was a good conversation. I like to focus in areas where we can find agreement. We have such divisive politics across our entire country right now, especially on the federal level. And I think it's important within our own communities that we focus on the issues that are affecting our community directly and that our Board of County Commissioners can affect within our community. And it's imperative that we absolutely listen to all sides of that, all political ideologies, all backgrounds, in order to synthesize that information and make a decision that gives the best outcome for the common good of the county. Partisan politics they're ugly, frankly, and I've made it a point, like I said, to go before the Democrats, to travel around the county, talking to everybody from all different types of backgrounds, professions, and really trying to get a bead on where the issues in the county are that we can agree upon things rather than continually fight.
Overall, how do you view your responsibility and role as a county commissioner? In other words, what do you see as a commissioner's scope of actual influence, and what are you hoping to accomplish within that scope?
Absolutely. So the scope and influence, I think, is summed up in one word, and that's leadership. Leadership from the standpoint of your work ethic and setting the example for the rest of the county to follow in your moral and ethical standards, and setting the example for the rest of the county to follow. There are the technical aspects of being a county commissioner. Obviously, you look at county policies, you review proposals, and that leads to votes, and you vote up or down on a number of different issues that come before the Board of County Commissioners. And it's a place for advocacy. A lot of times, the federal government and the state government have hamstrung us in many ways, be it through budgets and policies that maybe don't work for Klamath County the greatest, but that we have to abide by. And from the Board of County Commissioners, I've made it a point to educate myself as much as possible. I've been to every Board of County Commissioners administrative meeting, business meeting, planning meetings, anything that I can go to, different board meetings around the county for different organizations, just trying to educate myself the best I can. So given the opportunity in front of our state and federal lawmakers, that I am ready at any moment to give a 10-minute pitch for Klamath County and what our priorities are here. And talking about those priorities, I do have my own personal priorities that I would really like to work on as a county commissioner. And to start with, it's going to be public safety. Like my whole life has been involved in some sort of public safety, whether it was protecting the citizens of this nation, other nations, being a Marine, being a police officer. I think I have a lot of experience within the public safety realm. First and foremost, we are going to elect a new sheriff in January, and both of our current candidates for sheriff, I've had long conversations with, and I think we have good working relationships. And what we need to do as a county is we need to give some grace and some patience and some time for the newly elected and sheriff in January to organize that office as they see fit, and prepare that office and begin policing the county and running our corrections institutions and our civil institutions as they see fit, that from the work they've done through their campaign. But I want to be an integral part of assisting whichever sheriff is, candidate is elected sheriff. And I want to be there to provide support for them and ideas, and listen to their ideas and work as a team on our public safety platform. I think it's important, if we're going to talk about public safety, maybe we frame some of the problems with it and some of the challenges with it. And a lot of that comes down to budget. This year, it's about $17 million as a sheriff's office budget, and $13 million of that is coming from the general fund. So that gives us about a $5 million gap in there. And that's filled with a multitude of different funding streams. And I'm all about finding new, unique ways to fund the sheriff's office. But we do have that gap there. And there's been a number of different ideas I've heard proposed over the last year. I've heard that we could partner with the Klamath Falls Police Department to police our urban growth area. Now, I'll tell you, that came up when I was the union president, and at that time, I was staunchly against that idea. There may be a lot of variables that make it sound enticing, but from the union and the deputy standpoint, why would we pay another agency who actually costs more? A police officer from the police department costs more than a deputy does. Why would we pay another entity more money to do a job that we can do? Why couldn't we just take those dollars that we were going to give to the PD and put it within the sheriff's office? But I am not closed-minded, and I am open to novel new ideas that we can look at. We've used money from our road fund in the past to bridge the gap in the sheriff's office with funding, and that's controversial. It's controversial from all sides. I've talked to numerous people about using road fund dollars, and the truth is it's not a sustainable practice. Those dollars are set in an account, and that money is methodically and strategically planned for the maintenance of our infrastructure, our bridges. And if we continue to borrow from this, well, I mean, we're already at a point right now that the money in that road fund can't necessarily cover all of the long-term infrastructure planned. So I think that it is an idea, but I don't think it's a sustainable idea. And I think we need to talk about other ways of funding the sheriff's office down the road. Lately, there's been some talk about tax districting within the county and breaking the county up into some public safety tax districts, letting those districts vote on if they want a public safety tax for their area and set up a board and decide how they want to spend those tax dollars, whether it's employing their own type of police force or contracting with the sheriff's office. That's another great novel idea. All these three ideas we've talked about, I don't know if that I'm 100% in support or against any of them. I think it's something we really need to talk about, and that is funding. But what I would like to talk about is something that came up throughout the sheriff's primary, and that this came to me on numerous times, and that is getting some type of secure funding for the sheriff's office. And when I say secure funding, I'm not talking about a new tax. Right now, I believe the nominal tax rate on property taxes is $1.73 per $1,000. 5 cents of that is already set away for the Veterans Fund. That leaves about $1.68 left. And that's going to equate to, give or take, $11 million. What I would like to see time now is let's put an initiative on the ballot that says, hey, that additional $1.68 per thousand, all of it is going to go to the sheriff's office, every cent. That's not enough. It's still not enough to provide the services being demanded. But what it could do is it could give the sheriff some insurance that, hey, he's always going to have this pot of money, regardless of what state politics or national politics are doing. We know in Klamath County, we've got a bare minimum pot of money that will fund that sheriff's office. And it'll give the employees and that labor force there a little breathing room every year when budget time comes around. And I could get on board with that today. Let's secure some funding for our sheriff's office. And then kind of the last piece within public safety and talking around the county is I'd like to see more collaboration. And when I say collaboration, I mean from all of our stakeholders, from our citizens, from community corrections, the sheriff's office, the police department, the DA's office, the health department, mental health, everybody. And I'm sure there's plenty more that I'm not thinking of, where we're coming together and collaborating. We currently have a public safety council that meets. I've never been in the public safety council meeting, but I've talked to a lot of people within it. And maybe that's the forum for this, or maybe it's setting up another type of committee or working group to where we bring stakeholders from all these different entities in and find areas that overlap, find how we can best stretch the county's dollars to give our citizens the best services, utilizing the powers and the resources of all of our departments, working as one together toward a common goal of public safety. I think that all of our departments do very well working in their individual lanes, but there are some areas where we can collaborate together and really work together. We constantly hear, in our news and our media about mental health when it comes to crime and policing. And I think that a better partnership with our mental health agencies is something that's being demanded by our people, by our country, by our lawmakers. And so I'd really like to see a venue set up where we could collaborate together about public safety and really stretch our resources and work together to maximize our dollars for our citizens.
Beyond just public safety, the sheriff's office is one of those special district kind of entities in Klamath County that has some of its own unique governance parameters. The library, the museums, the fair board are some other examples. And in the past, it seems that some county commissioners have struggled to understand how those entities function in relation to the Klamath County government. What's your understanding of that history, and how do you think a commissioner should interact with those entities?
Okay, so we'll talk about the sheriff's office specifically first. That is an elected position. The sheriff has constitutional given authorities, and I think that there's been some challenges with the kind of check and balance, and it puts commissioners, I think, in a tough spot if you have a sheriff that is doing something that the commissioners see as not beneficial to the county, or even worse, a liability to the county. And in that situation, what do the commissioners do? The check and balance they have would be within the budget, but that's not realistic. The commissioners, we cut the budget in order to punish a sheriff. Ultimately, we're punishing the citizens. So the really best thing to do in that environment is build the best relationship we can with that sheriff and really meld our minds together. And when we do have friction, when there are challenges that come up, be willing to come together and negotiate, mediate through these challenges in order to best help the people of the county. And the other entities that are out there, same concept, same type philosophy. It's really working together and collaborating together, listening. That's probably one of the biggest things is listening and really trying to understand. Even when, I may not personally agree with a policy direction or a monetary direction, it's incumbent upon me to really listen to those that have the knowledge, that understand, and then go out, talk with the people and the citizens in our community and really listen to them, do my best to synthesize that information, be open and honest, and at the end of the day, make the best decision I can for the people of Klamath County.
This is based on another Facebook question. How would you handle a situation where a citizen of Klamath County is in conflict with a federal agency and is looking to the local government for help?
Okay, well, a county commissioner doesn't have influence over a federal agency. I would definitely want to work with Congressman Bentz to see how we could help that individual. And then be a point of advocacy if we could. I'm all for if an individual comes forward not necessarily understanding how to navigate any level of government, be it local, state, or federal level. I will sit down with any citizen and give them the best advice I have on how to navigate our government system, if that answers your question.
Economically, over the past 5 years, Klamath County has had the second fastest growing GDP in Oregon. It has outperformed 34 of the 35 other counties. How do you intend to help continue spurring that growth, or at the very least not being a barrier to success?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to be a barrier to success. Again, I've spent the better part of the last year involving myself in as many entities and meetings as I can in this county to really educate myself and wrap my head around all of the facets that go with being a county commissioner. And the Klamath County Economic Development Association, CASIDA, they're really kind of the spearhead of a lot of this. They do a lot of the reaching out to different industry and businesses and trying to bring business local. They do a lot of projects with revitalization and helping with grant dollars and really driving our economy. And I want to stay behind that. I want to keep moving forward and pushing that growth. Again, it's going to need to be balanced. There are things that maybe we'll get into here if you got another question, but like housing comes up with it because we grow, but our housing inventory doesn't. Right now you hear different numbers, but 300 to 600 short on inventory right now, which drives up costs of rent. The economic growth has to be balanced along with our wages, our labor force, our training abilities, and our housing abilities. And there's a lot of excited things to be hopeful and happy for coming to Klamath County. We got the F-35s coming out to the base. We're looking at $200 to $500 million injected just through the contracting work alone out of that base. That's going to be a huge boost for our economy. And then we've got the other local projects that I'm sure everybody knows about: Amazon, Winco, the different restaurants. There's revitalization grants going to different housing to help that balance we were talking about and getting some of our old housing inventory to where we can move back into it and putting more inventory on the market, thereby driving prices down. I would like to foster a business-friendly relationship. I personally am a small business owner, and I understand the challenges inherent to a small business and funding and keeping it going and keeping your workforce together. And any way as a county commissioner that I can promote business, that I can help cut through bureaucratic regulations, that we can reduce fees, I'm all for helping the business, helping the blue-collar communities.
I want to talk a little bit about disaster readiness. This has been the worst wildfire season in Oregon in recorded history by the number of acres burned. There have been several fires either in or very close to Klamath County, including one recently near Chiloquin that destroyed 8 homes. How would you help ensure that the county government is not only prepared to help manage these fires as they happen, but prepared to assist residents who are adversely affected by them?
Yes, and it has been devastating, and my heart goes out to everybody impacted by these fires over the last several years. It shouldn't be happening. There are things that we do locally, and I praise our emergency management team, our emergency manager, our volunteers, our firefighters, everybody that's in the first responder service has done an amazing job at responding to these incidents and doing the best we can to get it under control. The problem is so much bigger than even Klamath County, and a lot of it comes down to the federal government. The federal government doesn't manage our public lands well, not in Klamath County, not through anywhere in the West. And this is a problem that counties all across the Western United States are facing. The federal government continues to reduce our payment in lieu of tax dollars for these lands. giving us less funding, and they don't go out and control the fuels. They're slow to provide resources, and it creates a perfect storm where these major incidents happen, and then we have to respond to it. And there are times that the state and federal government, declares emergencies and then throws resources at it. But honestly, we had a saying in the military. It was called "Get left of bang," meaning let's take care of the incident before it happens. And we know these wildfires are coming. So it's incumbent upon, I think, the county commissioners to continually press the federal government that they need to do a better job. They need to do a better job at helping us manage our forests. And there's lots of things. Let us get in there and log our forests sustainably. Let us clean the forest floors and get the tinder boxes out of there. Let's have some more state and federal dollars to get more patrols out in the woods, be it police or fire, that can spot these things ahead of time. Let's educate our people on proper, conduct within the forest. So, all of those layers together, again, kind of like we talked about with public safety, collaborating together in order to do the best we can. But again, I'm going to drop a lot of it back to the federal government. They need to manage these forests better.
Droughts have also been an issue in Klamath County in recent years. As far as addressing the needs of farmers and ranchers during those dry periods, would you say it's also more incumbent on the federal government?
The water issue is got a lot of layers, and yes, the federal government is is the biggest kind of challenge for us to get over. And in a perfect world, be it our forests, our water, I want to advocate for and see control come back locally rather than bureaucrats in Washington deciding what's best for Klamath County. We need a seat at the table. We need more say within our natural resource industry. I've made it a point over the last year. I go to all the Klamath County Water Users Association meetings. I've really got made it a point to get my head wrapped around the water issue. It affects me directly. I own a business within the ag industry. There's hundreds of millions of dollars that rotate through our economy every year from the ag industry. We need the ag industry, and there are solutions that are out there. My opponent during the primary, Moss Driscoll, he talked about this constantly, and I thank him for that, because he highlighted the issue and elevated it more and got incoming county commissioners to start coming to all the meetings and really wrapping their head around it. And so if elected, I want to be a tool for our agriculture community to help them secure water, because there's a number of reasons why. Farming and sustainable farming and sustainable use of water and flowing it through our project can clean the water downriver. It can cool the water downriver and help with the fish runs. Really looking at the science behind all of this and making the proper decisions with regards to lake levels. I think all of this is extremely important. But as a county commissioner, what is my role in that? Again, a huge role of advocacy. Anytime I can talk to a state or federal lawmaker, I want to be talking about our natural resources, our timber, our forests, our water. What are you doing for us? How are you going to help us do this better? How are you going to help? Because frankly, we cannot sustain without our agriculture industry, period.
One more question from Facebook, and maybe you've already addressed some of this, but how do you plan to help the outlying communities in the county that feel their concerns are unheard or ignored?
First and foremost is being involved in those outlying communities. I'm not making promises per se throughout my campaign, but I will promise to get out east, to get up north, to get south and west in our county and get out in those communities and talk to people. I encourage the citizens there, reach out to me now with ideas and thoughts and issues. So I really, like I've said, I want to be an advocate and a commissioner for all citizens in Klamath County. I live out in Eastern County, and I understand, going back to public safety, it's frankly, it's not fair. If you live on Homedale Street, you're going to have a couple deputies if you have a theft fairly quickly. If you live out in Bly, you might get a phone call, and we've got to fix that. And that's again a combination of the sheriff, the commissioners, everybody working together, trying to address how are we going to fix these issues, or maybe not fix, but provide a better service, or empower the people that live in those areas to be a part of the solutions that are out there.
That's the extent of our questions. We will let you have the final word. Is there anything else that you would like to say to voters before they fill out their ballots?
Absolutely. Again, I want to say I'm humbled. I do not take this responsibility lightly. I have worked every day for the last 7 months to educate myself. So if elected, I can be the best county commissioner possible for all citizens of Klamath County. I encourage you to look at my website. It's nicholsforcommissioner.com. It talks more in depth about where I stand on all the different issues. I encourage you to reach out to me through social media, Facebook, Andy Nichols, or I think it's Elect Andrew Nichols, any of those. Please give me your thoughts, give me your comments. Again, thank you. I'm humbled, and I want to be the commissioner for all citizens of Klamath County.